Welcome to Toffee TV. It's the club call. Myself and Jack for a bit. Then Ped will sub. It'll probably be quicker than I thought Ped was going to sub me out because Ned is again trying to burn my head out over stuff. I think I need a holiday. I really do. And yeah, Ned's already just burnt me head out for the 10 minutes before we come on the show when he refused to kick a ball straight with an open goal.
That was entertaining.
It was entertaining. To be fair, that was entertaining. To be fair, it was entertaining.
I'd rather watch you do bad at FIFA than play well.
Yeah,
I could just go home and play FIFA well myself because I'm good at FIFA.
Well, I can't wait because we are having a round robin, so it'll be very interesting when we play to see how good you are. Jay says, "Are we still discussing if the pitches are identical?"
No, please. Can we please not do that? Because honestly, right, you thought the video was enough. The debate has raged on all afternoon, and I think now we need to debate something else.
You bring the debate up, one.
I want to know your thoughts about the tunnels in New York.
Oh, what you said about?
Yeah,
Fair play. Listen, if people felt like they needed to gather somewhere, then that's very, very resourceful of them. Almost a little bit like Shawshank Redemption, resourceful, doing secret tunnels.
I'm not sure if these people were criminals.
No, they weren't criminals, but I just meant secret tunnels.
Yeah.
And obviously, people who could hear voices weren't mad. So they've indicated in there whether they thought they were losing. It's a win-win-win for everybody.
Love it if we had little tunnels, all around Liverpool. If I could just get to mine, to the shop. No, I'm talking.
Oh, you'd like your own tunnel?
Yeah. Like if I just wanted to run the shop.
Didn't Sol Campbell have a tunnel between two houses at one time?
He's brought it back to footy. This is good.
Frank Lampard Senior. Fair play. I'm sure there's tunnels everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah.
Al Clark. Yeah, we know the game is no longer called FIFA.
No.
Maybe John's
FIFA.
In the comments there.
Yeah.
FC24.
It's FIFA. So it's FIFA. It's Twitter. It's the Echo Arena, you know what I mean? I'm old-fashioned.
It is always going to be the Echo Arena, despite M&S paying money for it.
But look, until M&S pay me money, I'm calling it the Echo.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But, listen.
They'll have to buy me.
That is fine.
Although I'll come cheap.
Do you?
Yeah, if M&S went, I give you 20 quid to stop calling it the Echo. I'd give up my morals for that.
Meal deal or a meal for two? One of those kind of.
Something to shock you, Baz. I don't really like meal deals that much.
No.
That's
not shock.
It's
not a shock.
All the butties have mayo on, other than like plain ham.
Okay.
I'm not a lover of mayo.
No, I'm not a huge lover of mayo.
Like if they just did butter, like a normal sandwich, because people don't even have mayo on butties that often. I don't think it's as popular as Tesco and M&S and everyone feel like it is. If you just did some with butter, like it is the deli meat sandwich, but it's butter, it's not mayo, I'd be all over it. Like £3, like nice butty, a bag of crisps, smoothie flying.
Yeah. Just looking to see if there's anything here. Who is winning? Who's winning? Oh yeah, definitely me. Posh Matty says I hate mayo.
I'm with you, Matt. Why are you Posh Matty? Like, is that like a name from school, or are you just like well off? Like,
he said go for the wraps because they have things like barbecue chicken on like a meal deal.
Yeah. It's sometimes I'm a bit picky, to be honest.
But that's good.
Sometimes it's the salad as well. Looks a bit rotten. And that, and but
you should be picky because it's food.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful.
No,
what you eat.
I'll do lettuce. Lettuce is sound, but it's like when I don't like tomatoes. If there's like a big wedge of tomato in there or something, like I give it a miss.
Tomatoes good for you, though. Do you just not like tomatoes?
Nah, I just don't really like.
I mean, I'm not a massive lover of tomatoes. I don't mind the baby ones, like the little ones.
Yeah, I like pizza.
I'm not
tomato sauce. I'll have the barbecue one as well.
So what about at the moment there's obviously a lot of conversation around ultra processed foods.
Yeah.
Killing you, causing cancer, causing heart disease, causing diabetes and all that. So are you concerned that you're eating a lot of ultra processed foods, or are you just thinking, you know what, I'll deal with that later in life?
It's a problem for tomorrow.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just seeing where you're up to.
I'm going to die eventually anyway, and I might as well enjoy my food while I'm here, because I could eat boiled chicken and boiled rice every meal, every day, with no seasoning.
Rice isn't great for you, though.
I did boiled
But
chicken
anyway,
and then a boiled broccoli.
yeah.
I could eat that every meal. I could get it by a bus. It'd be that, and then
okay.
I've gave up eating steak and chicken nuggets and all the good stuff in the world for nothing because the 63s just wiped me out.
Okay.
So it's one of those, like live your life, and that's my advice to all
solid.
of you.
I guess it's a solid strategy.
Look after yourself to a degree. Like you've inspired me a bit because I'm trying to get off the sugary drinks as much. You know, you have your Dr Pepper Zero and that.
I mean, I still drink too much of that. I am cutting down on that as well, but it would have to be the zero.
Yesterday I had a Diet Coke instead of a can of Coke. Today I had
try and have the zero because the diet stuff is still not. It's better than the sugar. Yeah. But it's still, but after zero, which is better again.
Well, we only had Diet Coke in the house.
Okay, fair play.
That's fair enough. Christmas, and then I had the Fanta Zero, that's today as well. So I'm healthy now.
Yeah.
But I could get hit by a bus, so I might just move back to full fat.
Do whatever. Do what after, whatever you can. Whatever you can. Who was? Peter Johnson, has he? Peter Johnson, former Everton chairman, Everton owner. Has sadly passed away. And some breaking news there. So there you go.
Just to educate me a tiny bit, sorry, he was the chairman through the owner, through the successful period of the 80s, wasn't he? No. When did he take the club up?
Took over in 94, was it?
Okay.
The last owner to win a trophy, though.
Oh, in 1995, yeah.
Yeah, built the mega store. Did he had some good ideas. I mean, he had some people who worked for him, like Cliff Finch, who wasn't great, cost us players. But we won the FA Cup. Brought people like Andrei Kanchelskis to the club. Built the Park End stand. I was involved in that, and he had some good ideas, but he also owned like park hampers over the water, and he had other businesses, and once the other businesses kind of hit a bit of a bump, his money into Everton kind of stopped. It was cost him DJ Spuddles. It was called. It was a frozen potatoes thing that he thought was going to be the key to the kingdom.
Into it, and it didn't
backfired, and therefore the money in Everton dried up and then he eventually sold it to Bill Kenwright. Or Bill Kenwright, like a consortium, rescued it because he was...
Kenwright was already on the board at the time, wasn't he? And did a takeover from within.
Took it from there,
consortium with him.
Yeah. Phil Carter was the chairman in Everton's Phil Carter in Everton's most successful period, yeah. Absolutely. Ruben's right, though. Just stop fizzy drinks altogether if you're trying to be healthy. You want to get on the hydrogen water, don't you? Really?
What's in that?
That's the latest thing. Well, just water, but you can get it. You can get like a cup that turns it into hydrogen water, which is better for you. It's supposed to be the best thing you can get. So there you go. We'll see. Okay, we are about to have our first caller. Just bear with Ned while we get these on. And our first caller is Eddie. Eddie, are you there? And what do you want to say?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. We can hear you, Ed. What do you want to say?
So I've been on Twitter, or X, I guess, recently, and I've been seeing the news that there's another American group that might be interested. That actually has some Everton ties. Would you guys hope that 777 fall through so we could maybe get a better deal if possible, or is that or would you just go with what we got right now?
I don't know whether there is another consortium waiting in the wings, despite what people say. I'm a bit surprised if there was, why they haven't raised their head above the parapet. But I don't know, to be honest with you, mate. I actually think 777 will be given. It'll be passed anyway, to be honest with you. But I don't know.
For the sake of the question, if we go on, there's a guarantee that this consortium exists and they want to buy Everton. I think it's easy to favour them because to put it respectfully, there's some baggage or potential baggage around 777. There's worries. There's up in the air about do they have the money?
Yeah,
there's,
definitely.
With current run-ins of some of the clubs that they do own, there's questions as well. So it's very easy to prefer this mysterious consortium with got someone who's got connections to Everton who knows the club. But for all we know, there could be people within that consortium who come with their own baggage as well. I think if these people are serious and they are looking to buy the club, I think we'd need to know more about them before we could go, I favour one or the other. I think if there was interest, it'd only be a good thing because it allows us to weigh up the pros and cons. Then the major pro of 777 right now is that they're the only ones who we know for certain are trying to buy us. We know 777 have been putting money into the club to help the club run over the last few months. If their takeover falls through, it still might take another month or two for another group. If it be the potential group of American investors to come in that time, they'd probably have to put money in to help the club run, as 777 have done, and we'd probably have to be paying Josh Wander and his pals their money back as well. So
we would, wouldn't we?
Yeah, so I think the best scenario, regardless of who takes us over, is that it's done quickly because the club's bleeding money at the moment, and if it's not 777, it's going to be more money we have to pay. But I think if there are other potential investors, it's a good thing, so we can weigh up the pros and cons. If they are serious and they don't come with potential baggage, and the individual in question who is rumoured to have links or an understanding of Everton is someone who actually cares about and understands the club, that'd be a good benefit to have, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. That's without knowing who the others are. It's difficult to go, oh yeah, they'd be better, because that's just like saying anyone's better than these people. Now, granted, 777, they're not coming with glowing reports. We don't know whether they've even got the money they're talking about. You know what I mean? But to be so far down the road, they must have proven, because they've satisfied the financial side of it, haven't they? And things like that. So I don't know, Eddie. I mean, you're right. There's a lot of noise around 777, and a lot of it is negative. But like Jack said, without knowing who the other people are and what their background is, we can't say one way or the other, can we? What would be better, I guess?
Yeah. Well, where do you stand with it, Eddie?
Well, so what I saw, at least the thing I saw, there's 3 teams originally interested in. Not 3 teams, but like 3 groups, including 777. With 2 of them being waiting in case 777 failed to get like their approval done. And then one of them backed away, and then the last one was the one that I saw that had like Everton ties. And I don't know how true this is, but they said that the Everton ties was Tim Cahill. So personally, just because of like what I've seen, because I've also seen other reports of how like there was like one of 777 teams just got like a transfer embargo put on them for January. So looking at stuff like that, it just doesn't give me a lot of hope. So personally, I would rather be bought by someone else, like just because I know it might take a little bit longer, but even if like 777 come in and like get their approval, I still don't believe we'll have like any money to spend in January unless we sell. Which
but we wouldn't have that with any, Eddie. Even if a state-owned takeover come in, Kuwaitis or Qataris come in and said we were worth 800 billion, we wouldn't have any money to spend anyway
because of
PSR. So it's that wouldn't change anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. I guess that's fair.
But no, I mean, listen. People can say Tim Cahill, who's involved in this. I haven't seen. I don't know where that's come from.
I've seen
it's nowhere in
chat about it. I've not seen it.
Twitter chat, because anyone can put something in Twitter and go, "I've heard off me mate's dog's friend that Tim Cahill wants about." It's nowhere. No mainstream reporters ran with it. It's nowhere to be seen. And I would have imagined if Tim Cahill was going to be involved with anything, it would have been a Qatari takeover, given he's very much
That's where a lot of his
he's involved. A lot of his
yeah.
contacts are, a lot of
That's
it, the
true.
business stuff. But listen, if Tim Cahill had a consortium and it was wealthy, of course you would want that, because he has got Everton links.
And he is someone who's gone away and educated
And done
himself
business,
on the
absolutely.
world's ongoing.
But then he's also been an advisor to Farhad Mashiri when he's made decisions. So he picked Frank Lampard as for the Everton job and stuff like that, and so therefore. No, and that's not me having a go with it, because if Cahill had a consortium, I'd want Cahill to take it over 100%. But I just haven't seen any confirmation of that anywhere, and I don't know if it's real. I'm just surprised that Farhad Mashiri didn't. I mean, he might have done, I don't know. But he didn't go everywhere and drag people into this. And I'm surprised when 777 announced that they wanted to buy it, why there wasn't a Middle Eastern consortium coming in. And that when there was a few after Manchester United, wasn't there? And obviously when they dropped out, didn't they come for Everton, which is considerably less? I know Everton isn't Manchester. I understand Everton isn't Manchester United, of course it isn't, but for a much lower outlay, you could have got a Premier League football club with a brand new stadium and things like that. 100%. So that's what surprised me a little bit, but yeah, I mean, if Tim Cahill had wealthy billionaire mates and he wanted to buy Everton, of course, if you had that option, you'd go with what you'd want with that connection.
Yeah, but that'd be massively ideal. But it's just like we say, we just don't know anything about these people and how serious they actually are and where this story's coming from.
Because couldn't they have put heat on? Like the Premier League and 777? If you had if I had the consortium of mates or business people, and they were like, we're in for 3 or 4 billion here, we want to make this football, we want to try and get this football club in the Champions League, and we're going to do it properly this time, structured, and I'd be going to every newspaper and I'd be letting everybody know that we're here, we want to buy this football club. We haven't got all of this stuff going on like 777
and
put the Premier League,
who are currently selling to 777 and know the whole process has taken a long time, but then saying, hold on, these fellas don't have half the package they clearly have the money. We can actually get this sale done quicker. But just to actually answer your question, sorry Eddie, if
you're all good,
if we knew more about these people, as I'd say it was Tim Cahill who was heading it up, and the people he had with him were significantly wealthy, even if it would take a little bit longer, I'd prioritise them over 777. It's just that we don't know the specifics of these people, their money, who they are. But have they had anything go on that'd make them potentially a bit fishy? Which is why it's hard to know right now. I just think regardless of who it is, it just needs to be done quickly, because we're not in a very ideal situation with our ownership right now, are we?
No. Well, the biggest problem we've got is that we're bobbing along in limbo, aren't we? We're almost in. We are in a limbo, because we've got people at the football club who are just driving the bus forward, so to speak, with no direction of where it's going.
Yeah.
Probably and 777 can't really make full decisions because they don't own a football club yet. I imagine they're guiding the football club into certain things. But if it comes back this weekend, the Premier League say no, do you know what I mean? And all of that, then we'd know that way, wouldn't we? But right now we are in a state of limbo, and it needs one way or the other. For our sake, we need it clarifying so that we can either look for someone else or we can move forward with 777. But they are only. I reiterate, they're only waiting for that approval. They've passed all the other stuff, and the Premier League have got all of the information they've asked for, apparently. So I don't know.
Yeah, and then I have a second question as well.
Go on, mate.
That's with Danjuma. I've been seeing that is it really up to Everton if Danjuma gets to leave, or is it up to him? Because I saw that Leon's interested, and that his agent's been more public about it, about how they've been talking through like the whole situation. Well, I guess it's a two-part question. Is Everton able to keep him, or is it up to the player that like if he can leave? Or like Villarreal, or if he does leave, what like our squad's already very small, and we don't have Dwight because of his injury. What type of cover would be possible? Like I know, like we have, if he leaves, we would get a loan spot back, so we would have 3 loans. I personally think we have to utilize all 3 loans just because our squad's small and like the injuries keep piling up, and I honestly I don't think we'll be able to survive without an addition of influx of players, even if they're not like full on like here to replace someone, just someone to like give cover or give like someone off the bench. So I don't know if you guys understand my question.
No. I get, yeah, you're saying like, should we bring someone in if he does go back?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if he does go back, we absolutely need cover, because I think we need cover anyway. But we're quite thin on the ground as it is already. You know, McNeil potentially out for a while. It'd leave us Harrison and Dobbin, and that's it. And Young, if you count him as a wing option. So I think we need a winger, but ideal if you can get a player who can play both, great. But I think we desperately need someone who can play that Decore role as well, because right now we're very dependent on one player to make our system work.
We've still got, theoretically, we could still sign 7 players on loan this month.
7?
How? So we've got another domestic loan, which we're allowed. And then we're allowed another 6 international loans, which aren't seen as loans, they're seen as short-term transfers.
I did not know that. That's okay.
So that's the ruling. That's what's available. Now, not in any universe do I expect Everton to
get 7 players.
To get 7 players in, but we should be looking at 2. Really, we should be looking at someone who can go into a Decore role. So again, I keep saying it, but it mightn't be anything like what Decore does, but someone who can naturally play that role.
To play the same way.
And he might do it a different way. He might be a dribbler, he might be someone who gets shots away, he might be someone who runs past the striker, whatever. And then you're absolutely right, Jack. We need another winger anyway, even if Danjuma stays. If Danjuma goes, then we need 2. But the Danjuma stuff, will be up to Everton, because Everton have signed a contract with the player. So it won't necessarily be up to him. If Everton say, we want to keep you for the remainder of the season, he'll stay. But if Everton look and go, yeah, we get it, you're not playing as regularly as we thought, you're costing us money that we can put into a different player, it's a mutual agreement. It'll have to be for him to terminate the loan.
Okay.
But he has got to honour the contract if that's what Everton want to do, because they've agreed a deal with Villarreal. So there are options for Everton to bring players in. It's whether or not there's room in the budget for all of those extra wages to bring in. There might be room to bring 2 in, maybe.
Yeah, I saw Hannibal, the Manchester United kid. He's been linked to come.
Yeah.
It's between us and Sevilla, supposedly. Would he fit the Decore role, or is he just like extra cover for like Gonagay for when he goes to AFCON? Because I really don't know much about the profile of the player he is, or like where he would fit in.
From what I understand about him, I think his ideal position is a bit further up the pitch. I think when he's got game time for Man United, he plays a bit deeper, similar to a Gonagay role, but that's because, they have more of that attacking midfield talent, so he doesn't always get his preferred position when he plays. But the fact he might be able to come to us and play that attacking role, which is his preferred position, and developing that, while still having to do the dirty work, because he plays in the defensive side that doesn't have a lot of the ball. I think that would give him the best of both worlds scenario, doing it in England as well. I think United would probably prefer that he comes to us because it's in England, so it's not a different type of league or different quality of league, and he's in his preferred position, but he's still doing the dirty work that he'd have to do in a United side if he's not in his preferred role.
Yeah. I think you're right, Jack. I think if you're looking at it, if he is wanting, and again, this will sound this will sound massively like a biased point of view, saying like we want him to come to us, but if he's got any real designs on wanting to play for Manchester United, then in my opinion, and it's only my opinion, he'd be better off coming to Everton and playing in the Premier League rather than going to La Liga. You know, Sevilla aren't a team in the top 3 in the Liga, battering everyone. The 16th, they've won 3 games of football all season. They're struggling big time in the Liga. There's a lot of unrest. Sergio Ramos is arguing with fans. There's all kinds going on there. You've got their own problems. Whereas,
Sergio Ramos is becoming a musician on his own. He released a song.
There you go.
I don't think
he
cares about soccer anymore, personally.
He's planning for stuff after it.
Yeah.
So going there, it's not like he's going to go into a really settled team. The club's settled and he can get on with it. But saying that, it's Spain, isn't it? However, I did see someone saying, well, you know, you can go and live in Spain and he wouldn't have to uproot. Well, he wouldn't have to uproot where he is now.
You could get the train.
He just literally get the train from his to Finch Farm, into Liverpool. So it's not exactly difficult. But I do feel like for him, personally, I think it would be a better choice to join Everton for his own development in terms of being a Premier League footballer. Doesn't necessarily mean that's what he'll do, of course, because he may well go off to Spain because he just fancies that.
Yeah,
really.
That's fair.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because you wouldn't look at him and go, I really pray we get him because he'll change us. But he would be useful because he can play a couple of positions and he's got a lot of energy and he likes to take the ball and he's a decent player. But we need other options. We need
bodies, don't we? And him coming in, look, he's not a starter if everyone's fit. But we know we can't rely on everyone being fit because we have such a thin squad. And, we've got Gay off at AFCON and, Decore, if he gets another injury, it's been a long period without one of our key players. And I think that's what, unless there's major outgoings, that's what this window will be. We maybe just get a couple of warm bodies in, which works. Because a couple
of warm bodies in?
Yeah.
Must be better than getting cold bodies in.
Well, cold bodies, dead bodies.
So there you go.
That's why we.
So you're literally saying we have to just get anybody in. But I don't think Everton want to do that, though. I think.
Yeah, because we looked at El Ghazi, and then El Ghazi just came on the bench.
I think if you're looking now, they're trying to be more prudent. They're trying to. I mean, it's right. They're trying to take the club down a different avenue. They're trying to get the recruitment right, and they're being careful. And I think we have had too many loans where they've come in and we've paid money and they've offered nothing and we haven't done anything with them. I think we have to be careful what we're bringing in. Quite clearly, they think Hannibal is good enough to ask questions and to play in our first team. And that's what we have to do this month. We have to get people who are a real option off the bench, because otherwise, if we're just asking for bodies, we may as well just not get lads up from the 21s.
It's different than that, though, isn't it? There's a middle ground between first team quality, which we can't afford, and not good enough Premier League quality.
Depends what the wage outlay is, though. I think in the past, I'd agree with you. Just get them in and then just boost the squad. But I do think right now they're having to look at what that outlay is.
We've still got to look for the right sign for the right player. Yeah. But I think especially when you're looking on loans, you can cast that net out a little bit larger.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean,
we've had some loan duds. You mentioned El Ghazi. That's a very good example.
Vinagre,
yeah. But we've had a few. But our squad's even thinner now than it was then.
God, I agree with you, mate.
While it wouldn't be on merit as a player, if El Ghazi was in this squad, he'd get minutes.
He was
more than he got. And it needs to be a better.
Isn't he a free agent at the moment?
Bring him in. He got released.
Get him back.
Yeah, bring him in.
Got goals. Why not? Why not?
It's about finding that middle ground.
Someone's asked for Neil Maupay to get his loan cut short because he's got 3 goals for Brentford. Bring him back.
That's 3 times that he had last season.
Yeah. 300%.
But we've got to find that middle ground of affordable, good enough.
I agree. Yeah.
And willing.
Surely it seems like Real. Surely Carlo's got a couple of players there who are more than good enough to play in our.
I've got this kid, and
I'm playing. Unless they just want to give us that Bellingham kid, he looks not too bad. Right. Loan him for a few months.
Did you guys see the report that David said, to Marcia Sports in Spain about their time at Everton?
Wasn't it a black story, that Ancelotti one? Yeah, it was a made-up story, apparently.
Why? What did he say in it?
What? Go on. Give us the outline of it, Eddie. But I do believe someone said it's not real. But go on. What was the outline of it?
Basically, he said that the time wasn't spent correctly, or towards the end that they just didn't have any money and they got frustrated, and then Real Madrid came in for them.
Can you hear me?
So just a made up quote.
Yeah. But there you go. Is that someone talking to you, Ed? Yeah. So we'll have to wait and see, Eddie. Obviously, it's going to be interesting with the takeover stuff going on. We'll also know on Monday, as every other Premier League club will know as well, not just Everton, whether we've sailed too close to the wind in our next financial year. That's on Monday as well. And we'll have to wait and see whether or not we do bring players in, and hopefully we'll get some positive news on Dwight McNeil, because it's been very quiet, which is slightly worrying, because I think if he was okay, Everton would have got that out there in the news that he's all right, but it's been silent, hasn't it, since he come off of Palace.
They're just not going to mention what's up with him until he comes back in 6 months.
Well, it'll probably just be Dice will probably just say he's
not on grass.
Yeah, he's not on the grass. So we'll have to just see it, won't we, as we move forward.
Ed's
gone.
Oh, is he gone?
Cheers, okay. Thanks for the call, Eddie. Nice Take care, mate. Top man. I've seen something before. Oh, Jay says, why are people okay with 777? They're going to leave us in a worse state than Mashiri, an owner lending the club 150 million. That alone is alarm bells. We need Arab money with a never-ending pocket. The issue is, Jay, where are Middle Eastern takeovers? Where are these people that want to invest? They're nowhere. So what do we do? We're in a position where Farhad Mashiri is not interested anymore. He's checked out, stopped paying, stopped helping the club, and he's handed the keys and everything over to 777, albeit bar the shouting. They're waiting for that Premier League approval. What do we do? If we don't take their money right now and Mashiri stops, then we're in administration, and then anything can happen. Then it'd be automatic relegation, because we'd have another 9 points off, so we'd be bottom of the league. Even with the greatest will in the world, I'm not convinced we could turn that around. 19 points off our profit total and stay up. We'd have 7 points, wouldn't we? We'd be 8 behind Luton already. So that'd happen. If we were going to go into administration, we should have gone into administration before the hearing and cried poverty. Then no commission would have added an extra 10 points onto a team that's already gone -9. So we'd have actually we'd have had no debts, so to speak of, and we'd have been 1 point better off. So therefore we'd have been 2 points ahead of Luton at the moment with no debt. Admittedly, we would have had to we would have had to sell players, but would have been able to do that in transfer windows. So we'd have been actually, which is the whole scandal of the 10 points, we'd have been actually in a better position as a football club, and it would have been worse for everybody else, clubs who we owe money to. People would have lost their jobs and all that, and yet the Premier League Commission decided what we did was worse than if we'd have done that and cost businesses millions of pounds and people's jobs and livelihoods, which is again why that 10-point thing is utter nonsense. So yeah, just back on 777. I mean, Jack, I don't think anyone is dancing up and down and made up that it's 777. And listen, they could come in and who knows, they might shape the club in a positive position moving forward. We simply don't know. There is a lot of negativity about them. Some of it is definitely justified with what they've done. Some of it is a bit of hype as well. But if there isn't other people banging your door down, it's not like which we've chosen 777 when there was a Qatari consortium, a Kuwaiti and they were saying, lads, we've got 500 billion to spend here, and we're going, nah, we're going with 777. Or certainly, it doesn't seem like that, and no one's saying that's what it's like.
No, that's the issue, isn't it? It's like I just said on the call then, their main selling point is that they want to buy us, that it's them. We know they're interested in a point where we need an owner because someone needs to put money into the club because Mashiri's not doing it.
No.
So someone needs to. So we need a potential new owner to come in and do that and lend us the money, and they'll come in and take over the club. Eventually, they're the only ones who seem interested. That's their selling point. I don't think people are particularly excited about them as actual owners. It's just more the idea of the financial security that we might get from it, as opposed to the absolute reality of no financial security if they didn't want to buy us and no one else did either.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I know you mentioned Arab money or the endless stream money, and well, that'd be great. I don't think we'd actually be able to spend much more anyway because of profit and sustainability.
No,
and
but
with the you know, the club's debts and the stadium costs and everything else, the club is spending a lot of money already anyway. I think any potential owner doesn't need to be, you know, a trillionaire. They just need to have enough to spend within the profit and sustainability rules. That's all we need, because that's all we can spend. And that's why when we say about buying players low and selling high, it's not because we want to be a selling club.
No.
That's because that's the only way you can generate money to spend on such a big scale. Obviously, you can improve your commercial income, everything, but that takes a long time, a long period of success, as well as the proper marketing to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
If you're talking about wanting to be able to spend massive money short term, you need to sell players to do it.
Yeah.
And that's what people speak about. It's not wanting us to be lesser than the clubs that are buying them. It's wanting to be smart, make 150 million of player sales every year, but then we'll spend that 150 million on 5 players who are all as good as the players we sold. It's not wanting to be small little selling club Everton bowing down to the big six masses. You know, let's be smarter than them. Let's take their money off them and make it ours and use that to improve us even more, and then we'll go above them in the table. And then we get the long-term success which you can build into, you know, commercial income, and you get your European money.
Yeah, it is mad. I mean, it's mad that the Premier League have allowed Chelsea to get Russian investors for the crypto for their shares.
Yeah, it's because I think they're officially not associated with Putin, but I obviously have a limited understanding of this, but I think
I do as well.
Russian business, I think most Russian businesses, especially the big ones, probably associated with someone who's associated with Putin.
Of course, yeah.
The way their democracy and their politics works, I'd be surprised if that wasn't the case. If someone has a lot more knowledge of this than me, wants to correct
just by
me,
having knowledge of it, you'll have more than me, because I just don't really.
But if someone knows more about it and wants to correct me, well, by all means, go for it. That's my understanding of it.
It is a bit mad,
but
isn't it?
yeah, it is very typical as well. You know, if we'd just been allowed to keep our Russian sponsorship and, you know, the Premier League. So, well, it came from the government, didn't it? The government sanctioned certain Russian businessmen and said you can't have dealings with UK business or the UK, and that's where it came from. But
yeah.
So if we'd just been allowed to keep our sponsorship, we'd be 10 points better off.
Absolutely.
We'd probably
the club
just about
be in a much better state, wouldn't it? The stadium would be done. That would have been paid off a while ago, for the simple reason that we'd signed a deal with USM for 240 million. So it'd have been sorted. Stadium would have been paid for. We wouldn't be in the mess we're in now, but hey ho, we are. Just before we go to Pat, one sec, Jack, only question from Glenn. If you went into McDonald's and ordered a Big Mac meal with supersized fries and a side of chicken selects, would you get a Diet Coke? Great question.
No.
Would you just go all in?
Regular Coke from Mackey's.
Just going all in.
Sometimes I get an Oasis though. Find it nice,
mix
refreshing.
Yeah, fair play. Hey, fair play.
I'd get a double quarter pounder, not a Big Mac.
Absolutely.
That's it.
I don't know. You can make it large, can't you?
Yeah, you
still get large meals. Yeah.
Whatever you want on. But
imagine if you could get supersized in the UK. I'd be so fat.
You already are.
I'd be fatter. Jack, I've got a great body.
Right,
Okay.
let's go to Pat, who is waiting patiently on the phone. Pat, hello, welcome. What have you got to say?
Hey, how you doing? So I have inside information from my second cousin's brother's fiance's ex-college roommate that this consortium is going to be Joe Max Moore, Tim Howard, Landon Donovan, and Sylvester Stallone.
Fair play.
Lovely.
How much money have they got?
Yeah. Who knows?
Because if they haven't got 2-3 billion, then it's...
I reckon Stallone on his own could cover most
the
of that.
old Expendables thing, yeah.
Yeah, if he does a few more Rocky films as well, just get a couple more paydays. That's our summer window sorted, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah, well, he's gonna have to start putting a lot of movies because I think on this conversation, we all know that. So I did look this up, and I knew there were only 3 Premier League teams over the past 10 years that had made any profit at all, and they were Spurs, the Red Shite, and Burnley. And so it's no one else has made any money over the past 10 years. Football doesn't make money.
No.
And so you basically are consigning, and this is sort of what I wanted to get onto to get your feedback on. This isn't a healthy place for a sport to be. I understand that making a profit gets this sort of attitude that, oh, they're just in it. They're trying to kill the club. They're trying to kill the community and the fan base and steal from the fans and everything like that, and which the Glazers have done, to be fair. But Daniel Levy hasn't stolen money from me, just kind of shrewd. Same thing with FSG. They're like the idea that the RS fans want to say they want to bankrupt their moneymaker, which they're called Fenway Sports Group, the name of the Boston Red Sox team. They want to bankrupt a money-making machine in Boston so that they can get players they want, right? That is the sickness of this sport, is that basically you have to have the capacity to light money on fire every year outside of if you are very savvy and are willing to not accept basically challenging for the league. Which Liverpool have only done, I think, through having a great system around that. As much as I hate to say that, but
we have
right, and they make money doing it, and a lot of it is player sales. But without I've done the salary cap conversation. I don't need to have it. That's sort of the thing, is there's a sickness within football where profit is considered to be evil, and I'm not even saying that you need to make a lot of profit, but no team are even close to breaking even over the past 10 years besides those 3. Like, they're all quite a bit. Even the big clubs, even Chelsea, Man United, Arsenal, they're all in the red. And Arsenal owned by an American, which it's funny hearing Arsenal fans saying that the Cronkies don't spend money. They're losing some of the most money in the league every year. So I wanted to hear your take on you and Jesus, how have I forgotten his name?
Jack.
And Jack's take on sort of the sickness of football that has come to the point after the Abramovich blood money and the city blood money has essentially made it so you have to have a state behind you to afford anything.
Funnily enough, Pat, I had this discussion this morning with seen a friend I used to work with, and we were having this discussion about whether or not we'd ever see Everton win the Premier League in our lifetime, and the answer is no. And that's such a terrible position to be in and the reason you say that, and of course you could be well wrong. Of course you could. Leicester City won it out of nowhere. Villa could win it this year out of nowhere. I don't think they will, but they could. Of course Everton could have a one-off perfect season when things go well, but for Everton to break into an elite set of clubs and be jostling and battling for a Premier League title for a few years on the run just seems so unlikely because of these. It is a state-owned sport, and the wages just keep going up and up and up. The ticket prices go up and up and up. And none of it is comparable to real world. You know, we've had, again, listen, at the risk of sounding like an Al git, Derek Mountfield, has been in here loads of times, sort of Derek regularly. When Everton won the FA Cup in 1984, he was on £150 a week, and his mates who were plasterers were on £250 a week, and he didn't care. He went, I was playing football for my boyhood club, playing football for a living, and we won the FA Cup. Now imagine now, you know, a mate of a footballer and they're plastering walls and being on more than what the footballer's on. And listen, even at National League level, footballers are on way more than what normal people. So it's gone so far. It's gone so far one way that I'm not bemoaning professional footballers earning a good living, because it is about skill and you've got to have a certain amount of ability and everything else. I get all that, but the way it's gone now, there's no hope of it levelling out. So they've created a Super League around the Champions League, but unfortunately,
it's a de facto Super League.
Exactly, but unfortunately for clubs like Everton, it's taken us out the equation. It's taken clubs like Aston Villa. All right, they're having a great season. Will they have another great season next season? I don't know. But realistically, it's Newcastle have been bought by a state, and yet because of the rules, okay, they've spent 400 million since they've come in, but they have now had to slam on, where Man City were allowed to just spend and other teams. Chelsea were the worst case of it, weren't they? Because they
started all this.
They started it. They did it. They started buying players to stop Liverpool buying players, and then they put them on the bench and not played them. It was just to stop rivals having them. And that's taking it in a different direction. And I think most football fans, you know, if they were, you got most level-headed football fans together or had some kind of poll or some kind of thing, I think most fans would say, all right, level it all off again, and we all feel like we've got a chance to be the best. Then it all comes down to having the best coaches, manager, having the most vociferous crowd. Then it balances things. It's why I love MLS, Pat.
Brighton could win a league under that because of how well they run.
Exactly, right? And that should be a thing that's real, right? But Brighton will probably be very happy being 6th, 7th, 8th and doing what they're doing, and that's great. But
just like we were under Moyes.
Exactly. You see, I would love, like I keep saying, I love MLS because you'd have drafts and you'd have things like that. And okay, there's still some teams who are near the top, but it's not. There doesn't seem to be a huge gulf. Shot. Well, the same team doesn't win MLS Cup every year. Okay? And that's what football should be like.
No team is even regularly top of the conference.
No, exactly. And I know in American sports it is different. NFL is different and things like, and basketball, you'd have great sides and stuff, but there can be variation in who wins. And it's why, to be honest with you, and I might be on my own here. I might even be on my own in this room. I don't know. But it's why I wanted those Super League teams to go and be in their own league and play. I don't care if Everton never played Liverpool again, or Manchester United, or Arsenal. Because if you put me in a league that's got the likes of Aston Villa, West Ham, teams like that in it,
clubs in there,
big clubs who are still well-supported clubs, and
Blackburn,
I go and sit inside Goodison Park and sit down. Sunderland, if they got up, I sit in Goodison or sit at Bramley Moor.
Blackburn,
exactly.
Exactly, teams that have huge heritage.
You know, when you've got
founding members, right?
The top league, and you're playing in the top league within that. Okay, the level will drop a bit, but there's only a certain amount of players that can play in a Super League.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? So you would still get a decent level of football. I'd still be watching my team, and I would still have a feeling most years that my team could do something. It doesn't guarantee. Everton might still never win a Premier League, even without them big six gone. But I would always feel like they are not too far away. I mean, Jack, you're obviously a lot younger than me, so you're brought up on this Premier League era when Everton, to you, I imagine, are just a team that bobbed around 6 to 8, but in the last few years has been a team that's tried to stay up. So what's your perception of football as a whole and where it's going?
Well, in that time, I've watched finances greatly change as well. Obviously, not to the extent you have, but I remember being right. If you're a mid-table team, like you might spend 10 million in the summer window. Like you might do, and that'll get you a couple of players. Because you get a decent player for 4 million. You know, you spend a little bit here, get a decent championship player for 3 million, and that's gone away massively. If you know. Gyökeres in the summer, everyone wanted him. He scored goals in the championship, ended up going for over 20 million, didn't he? And that's the going rate for a championship player now, for a good one.
That's why Premier League clubs didn't go near him now.
If you wanted Jack Clark, you'd be paying quite similar. I think football's on a knife edge with the finances now. I really do think it's coming towards a breaking point. Because we see Everton at the first of probably many teams that'll have profit and sustainability problems. Because, like you said, it's tough to generate profit in football, especially when the race goes on and on to try and gain positions in the league table. And more often than not, big money does have to be spent to do that.
And wages.
Big wages as well, and stadium maintaining.
The wages are the killer, aren't they,
Wages are the killer for Everton because Everton's net spend over the last few years in terms of transfer is quite low. It's the wages that were at one point taken up, I think, 96% of club revenue.
Turnover,
Which is crazy, isn't it? You know, that should be around... What would they thinking? 70% maybe, Pat, or less
60,
than that?
67%, I think, is maybe even less for most American sports franchises. Even though baseball, they pay insane wages. I mean, you pay a good starting pitcher £20 million a year, basically in that. But because you play 81 games a year and have local contracts, you can get away with it. That's the local TV contracts. It's mainly that's the issue, is that the transfer fees are what everyone talks about because they're the easy number. They're the easy facile number everyone can jump to. Everton have spent 600 million over, or what was it, $500 million? They would always say over the past 5 seasons. They would always say before, right when we were coming up against it, they would always say that, like, we spent $500 million or whatever. That's not the real issue. The issue is that we were paying Andre Gomes $120K a week. That's
Holgate's 80 grand a week.
Exactly. And it's not just that we're paying them that. It's that you need to do that to compete in the Premier League, and it inflates. And the transfer fees essentially become a way that people can conceptualize financial expenditure very easily by a nice round number that can be calculated very easily, even though it's spread out over years. Each contract is almost uniquely done individually about how it's expressed over years and whatever, but everyone can jump on that number and conceptualize it easy. But if you look at that, if you look at the payroll numbers every year, it correlates with the league. That's just how it is. It correlates with league position very strongly. Almost better even than XG differential. It's right up there with XG differential in terms of league position. And so the issue is that you can have unregulated wages if you didn't have transfer fees, like basically like the American baseball. You can have transfer fees if you have regulated wages in terms of a total squad wage cap, salary cap. You can spend this much on the totality of your first team squad. You're registered first team squad. You cannot have both an unregulated or mostly transfer fees, but especially an unregulated transfer market and an unregulated wage market. That is the problem that European football has overall. And I even saw a podcast, someone talking about how they would like to see money evenly distributed, and the one way you do that is through again, I feel like I've talked about this last 3 times, is a whole first team salary cap. Like whole cap, you don't say how much a specific player can make, you say how much you can spend in totality of your whole first team registered squad. And you say everyone gets this, teams start making more money, which is good for the business side of that, and people actually will want to invest. You don't have to do dodgy things, because that's the thing, even banks will not loan to European football teams, despite how humongous they are in terms of their presence in the world and their presence in terms of a brand. banks won't loan to them because it's such a toxic asset. So that's the issue. I really think, as we said many times, and I'll leave it at that, is that you need a whole first team, a totality first team salary cap.
No, you're
You
absolutely
do.
right.
Otherwise, you got to get rid of transfer fees. And to get rid of transfer fees, you basically have to make it that you transfer someone's registration, which means someone making $300K a week has to transfer that $300K a week contract to a new team.
Yeah,
that's the only other way.
Yeah,
if football could force a culture change where players sign much shorter contracts, and the longest contract you see is a 3-year deal. So then they're guaranteed to spend that time at that club, and then they can leave on a free afterwards, and it stops players getting locked into 5-year deals and wanting to leave. But that'll never happen.
No,
that'll never happen.
So difficult, isn't it?
But it is. But you can have a team control thing. I don't gotta keep bringing up the records, but you can have a team control area where you essentially don't have to control it. Or you control the thing, because contract length actually means nothing. This is what I think Bully and Egbal thought was, we can just pay these contracts, and we can just transfer them, and they're even on a free, and that 7-year contract, it goes away. A contract length means nothing actually in European football, as long as you can let someone go on a free and someone will take them.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's the only way I see it changing, and I don't know. I mean, who was it? Someone said, it might have been Lollipop. It was said like Sancho was sat on Saturday playing his PlayStation 5 on $350,000 a week.
That's what we said on the live earlier, and that's okay for Man United because they generate a certain amount. They're still losing.
But it isn't. They're over £1 billion in debt.
Tons of money.
But their debt doesn't matter to them as much as profit and
but it's not right,
Jack,
is it?
them. No, it's not. That's what I'm saying. No, but I'm saying,
okay,
compare that.
Go under if it would have had to operate as a real business.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So with Everton, by the way.
The team that the Glazers own in America, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, would fold if they lost the money every year. They would literally be moved to a different state and be forced to sell by the league.
Yeah.
If they lost that much money every year.
No, it's bad. And the thing is that the one thing that isn't going up like that is real people's wages, supporters' wages, and yet we're expected.
The game becomes more expensive.
Exactly, we're expected to keep just putting our hand in our pocket and paying more and more for actually a sport where the quality's getting less and less. What you're seeing, and
less distributed,
but just general quality of watching games of football. Pat, that they're nowhere near the quality.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that you have a team like Man City who can. No matter how hard we played in that first half, and everyone was just gutting it out that first half, and we had played we played 3 or 4 games in about 12 days or whatever it was, and we were gutting it out, and they looked shattered at halftime. But Man City, they have a second 11 they can bring on. So who cares?
But the whole thing is with that as well, though, is think of like how much money gate receipts are. Right, they're not that much in a business of football. They're not that much, but they'll quite happily pay them to some player who sits on a contract and doesn't do anything for the football club, and instead of going, nah, you know what,
we could do with one less $100,000 a week player
and
who doesn't play.
We'll put that money back into the fan base, so the money, the season tickets don't have to go up, kind of thing. And I know, but the problem is you can't do that because we're all chasing the same dream. We want to go and watch Everton getting into Europe and getting into your dream, getting into Champions League and trying to win trophy. That's what you want. So to do that, you got to keep spending money and keep spending. I mean, look at Liverpool, whether we like to say it or not. They've been really good since Klopp went in, haven't they? They've been so competitive. They've nearly won the league a few times. Without Man City's money, Liverpool would have been more successful in this period. Now, as Evertonians, we might go, thank God we haven't had so much stick because City have been good. But that's trailed, that's kept them back. But we play in the same city as Liverpool, and yet their turnover and their actual money that they brought, well, the turnover over the last 3 years is 3 times what ours is. Their wage bill is double what ours is in the same competition in the same city.
And they're right, exactly. And also the fact of, as someone who absolutely hates the RS, I am still feeling like it's a Sophie's choice between rooting for Man City or rooting for Liverpool. Like the one side of the sporting and cultural and team and rivalry factor, I want everyone else but Liverpool to win, but I also just despise the way that Man City essentially operates.
Yeah. Listen, the worst thing about the whole thing as well is not only is that in our game, but they allowed them to pull the drawbridge, pull the ladder up after them. Yeah. And so therefore, if you are Newcastle and you've got a big, rich state behind you, it's going to take you getting every decision right and years to be able to close any kind of gap. We had this, and Farhad Moshiri and Usmanov thought that they could just keep paying. That's all right, we'll just keep paying the money. It doesn't matter. And you know what? 10 years ago, it wouldn't have done. And Everton would have spent a hell of a lot more than they'd spent, to be honest. But the rules have changed.
That's why the financial situation's so precarious, though, Baz, because you can do everything right, and you can do what Everton were doing a few years ago, where you managed to break into that top 6 on occasion, you hang around, but one mistake takes you out, and then you feel like they have to spend money to get back, and you've lost out on European revenue.
But it shouldn't be like that.
You have to rebuild. Leicester did it for a couple of years. They were in the hunt. One bad year, and they went down because the finances weren't there for them. They couldn't sell a player that they needed to sell. Down because of it.
Is over £200 million, which isn't. It's not huge, of course it isn't, but it's £200 million, and yet we're saying that we can't compete in the league. £200 million a year, and we're going. In fact, it'll be more. It's more like probably £250 million, and we're going. It's not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. Think about that £250 million just for the sport, and we're going not enough because the wages. And it shouldn't really be like that. That's all I say. But
there's going to be a limit of people in the world who can actually finance a football team if it keeps going.
But Pat's just said it. If you actually look at it properly, right? If you ran it as a real business. Right, a real business can't lose money every year. It goes out of business, and yet I'm going to say it. We've got a PSR in this Premier League where Everton have been given the opportunity to lose £105 million. Now, okay, we went over it because of different things, but the reality is we did go over it. Other clubs all over it. It's just that when they bring their losses down by going, well, we've got a women's team, right, knock 5 million off that. We've got this thing, knock 10 million off. When you do that, they all fall in line with it. But they're all losing money, like Pat said. Who's genuinely in the profit zone at all times? 3, is it? Yeah. See, Pat will know.
Yeah.
So who are the Pat?
It's Spurs, the Red Shite, and Burnley.
Right, so Tottenham, we know Daniel Levy's ran them like that, and they had Harry Kane, and he won them so many points that he didn't have to blow loads of money. Big stadium, blah, 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 done well. Liverpool have done it brilliantly over the last 10 years. Before that, they were horrific. Liverpool were the first team to pass the £1 billion mark without winning the Premier League, and that was back in 2011, I think, which was a huge amount of money with no success, really. As in Premier League, they won a lot of other trophies.
But Liverpool's current owners as well, I don't know if they have recently, but for a very long time they didn't take dividends pay. They obviously had their salary as their head of FSG, but they weren't taking mass amounts of money out of the club. So they allowed it.
We can sit here and go, we don't like Liverpool or whatever. But they have been a better example of what you can do. They still spent money. There's a myth that Liverpool don't spend money. The wage bill is the second highest or something.
It's like Pat was saying, fans focus on transfer fees. Their fans focus on transfer fees. Never once mentioned that they had the second highest, I think at one point, the highest wage bill, which allowed them to actually have these players and keep them. Yeah. So fans do centre in on transfer fees.
And don't forget, when you've got good players, if Everton had Mo Salah as their striker who got them goal and played every year, Everton would be much higher up the league, and every fan would be having a Salah shirt, and Liverpool have got 5 of them lads who scored double figures.
The Egyptian fan base.
And all of that. So they've done Tottenham brilliantly and have used it well. Tottenham have done it with Harry Kane, and they had Son, and they've had the good side, and Big Cat, and done well in Europe. So it is. They've run, but Everton would run quite well, dare I say it, under Bill Can, like that board years ago.
No,
but what I mean,
never use the American market despite having America's number one.
No, hang on. Let me finish. I meant, let me qualify it. Quite well in an era where it wasn't by design, by the way. We had to, as in we absolutely had, because we didn't have any money. And we had a limit, and we had to stay within that limit. I'm saying quite well. We sold bleeding Wayne Rooney for half of what we should have sold him for. I know that we didn't exploit the American market. We didn't do that. He didn't go and get investors.
We didn't cross the line.
Exactly. So that, quite well was probably a terrible use of words by me. But Everton stayed within what they did. They cut the cloth accordingly is probably better, right? They cut the cloth accordingly, which meant that you would look at Everton and go, they're being run really prudently. And then we got a billionaire. And if the billionaire would have come in and gone, right, I'm going to loosen the purse strings a little bit, but we're going to have an ethos and a way that we move forward.
To make sure we stay within our remit. We
would have developed a lot better than what we did. He come in. But there's 3 clubs, what we're saying, out of 20 that are run.
And Burnley. Players out from under Dyche every single year.
Exactly.
Yeah, and for a long time, I think similar to us, were ran by someone local.
It was a local businessman.
Supporter, local businessman.
And they didn't have the money.
Didn't have hundreds of millions to lose. So similar to what you said about Everton, their fans are probably frustrated with the lack of buy-in. But if they spent money they didn't have, that could have been, okay, buy to Burnley.
Look, Ian Barron, who was a Darlington fan, he's always on Ian, he's a good lad. They obviously went out. They had to reform in 2012, didn't they? They were doing well, and their owner was a bit like Mashirian, built a 25,000-seater stadium, then couldn't finish it, and had all these great designs that they were going to be up with Newcastle, and didn't happen. But their fans have raised, Darlington fans have raised over £2.5 million since 2012 to help keep the club running,
which is incredible.
And they're a fan-owned part-time club, which is absolutely brilliant, and hopefully they will eventually get back into the league and do well, because they, when you see things like that, fans sticking together, we've seen it with like Macclesfield, with Savage is trying to do it, and Berry, who of course was a terrible story of an owner taking it and just going, we'll do whatever. And of course Jordan Pickford made his first league debut for Darlington back in the day, didn't he? So brilliant that Darlington and their fans have done that, and it's all good, it's all good. So they've done well. They do a booster budget scheme on running a club and not just take donations, which is fantastic, isn't it? And that's how you get fans' actual input into the club.
And they're involved in the club, and they're having their say. And I've heard, we can talk about the allure at the Premier League and everything. Fans of Darlington probably feel a lot closer to their club than we do, and I'm not trying to downplay their situation and say I'd trade places with them, but I'm sure they feel a stronger connection, especially as part owners with their club, than fans of Premier League teams who've been treading water for years do.
The Wrexham documentary, you see how their fans are woven into that and what they've gone through, and obviously they've got Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney, and they've come in and done brilliantly, and they're doing great and all of that. That they've got a real connection with the club, but it's still at a level. But at some stage, that will be broken. If they carried on winning and got promoted, their money wouldn't be enough.
No,
they'd have
to go and find new investors.
They'd have to get other investors. Then it changes again. And then if they got into the Championship, it changes again. Then if they got into the Premier League, they'd need billionaire owners. And then it changes again. And then the fans will be day trippers, encouraged to come from everywhere else rather than the local resort, whatever, which is fine, because people who come travelling all that money and spending, all that way and spend the money should be welcome.
There to actually see the club and be involved, that's completely
the whole thing. So it's so difficult. That football was always for the fans. It was. Don't forget how it started. It started as a pastime for people who worked all week and needed something to enjoy on a Saturday afternoon, and yet it's been taken and it's been repackaged, and now it is a pure business. But I actually believe it would be a better business if it was more of a level playing field. I think everyone would love it even more, but it is moving away from that, sadly. Whereas you do look at it and go, how can we be successful? How can we do? That kind of thing. I think it's just so difficult now, and it's easy to lose heart. But I when I've done that overlap, I've spoke to like Forest fans and like Burnley fans and people who've been relegated and come back up, and they're like, the best season I've enjoyed is in the Championship.
You get to win for once, don't you?
It's winning, but it's also a little bit more of an honest competition. There's still money. There's still a have-and-have-nots, but it's not on the level that it is now.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, championship.
Not saying I want that, by the way. I'm just
championship fan bases, I think, often view these relegated sides that come back up like we view Man City.
Well, probably,
they get their parachute
they're given a bump, but that's changing.
They get a financial benefit as well. But if you are right, you do get to actually win for once. I look at Norwich, especially when they'd come up every year and go down the next, and carry on. They must prefer the championship years, where they win every game, and they'll finish on.
Well, at the end of the day, I do think we have. I don't know whether Pat agrees with this, right? But I don't know whether we've been conditioned now to believe. Well, we have. I just wonder if Pat does, with being an overseas fan as well, football fan. But whether we've been conditioned into forgetting what football is about. Really, football should be about the hope and the honesty. And yet, what we're seeing now is more and more teams that are just having to settle. And you just said it there, then it is that light. When think about what you just said, Jack. You go back to winning, being able to win games. You go to football matches to enjoy winning. Whereas in the Premier League now, teams just want to. There's about 4 or 5 teams who think they can get in the Champions League and get in Europe. The rest just want to stay up. What the hell is that all about?
Be comfortable, stay up, get the prize money.
Exactly. I mean, Pat, do you think this is that? Have you felt that, being a fan who obviously an overseas fan watching it? Is that there is a lot of just settling, whereas like if Everton were relegated, we'd all have aspirations of winning every week and getting promoted. I'm not condoning it, by the way. I'm just saying it is sad that we've been conditioned to think in a way that only 2 or 3. The way we used to laugh in this country and over the years, Pat, we used to laugh at the Scottish League because the Scottish League could only really ever be won by 2 teams and the rest of it was a bit of a joke. That's kind of what the Premier League's like now, I feel.
You're not going to get... Yeah, it's you're not going to get Blackburns anymore winning the league, which is magical. And Leicester was just a one-off of Ranieri doing a great job and getting talent that people didn't under-evaluated at the time and didn't snap up. And
a poor Premier League season as well.
Now.
But everything went away, didn't
it? Yeah. But that's the thing is I'll put it this way. I've had to learn more about sports finance, about transfer agreements, about agent interaction than I had ever had to learn in the 35 years of my life in whatever for any other sport. I don't like that. I want to just watch the game.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not using that as like a sports resume. It's more like, I've been on this earth for 35 years.
No, you're right.
And I basically have only since I've watched the Premier League, which was sold to us by NBC after the 2010 Olympics as an antidote, as a breath of fresh air from the corporatized American sports. It's free. There's promotion, relegation. It's a meritocracy, and it turned out that was a lie. Because I want to see a place where Howard Kendall can shape a team in the early 80s and bring it up to challenge their local rivals and make, a Liverpool supremacy for a decade, basically, within the city of that, in a place where we were kind of a little bit down and out and kind of just meandering around and we were able to pull ourselves out, or Blackburn can win the title, or, whatever, or Leicester isn't just a one-off. It's a situation where you have to account for where, anyone who finished top half and makes shrewd moves can win, where Brentford and Brighton can challenge for a title legitimately if they keep up doing a good job, where it's not just where Man United can't fail for about 7 straight years and actually consider it a failure, which sounds so arrogant, that they consider it a failure if they finish out of the top 4. It's like, what, just because you've had good years before you deserve, you're anointed the top 4? Come on. Those are the things that frustrate me as an overseas fan, because I was promised better. I was promised pure sport, and I'm not getting pure sport.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, though, that we all know far too much about stuff we actually shouldn't care about. We have to know it because it dominates the conversation, because it clearly affects the sport. But I watch a lot of the UFC. Like, MMA is probably my second favourite sport after football. Imagine if we were in a situation with that where it's like, oh, well, this fight can only be made if they can sell the old canvas for the octagon and they can build a new octagon for a bit cheaper. And that means they can actually pay both fighters to come in if we get a crowd of over 11,000 people. But the tickets have to be sold at $45. But at the moment, it looks like it's only $42, so I don't think we'll get the fight.
Yeah.
But that's the equivalent of where we are with football. we all know far too much, and we've been forced to care and educate ourselves.
I don't want to know about finances. I just want to look at players and go, oh, I'd love to get him, and he'd make us better. We're all going, oh, what's this rule? Oh, what if we sell that? What about this? What about that? Can we cross-check that off the PSR if we put an extra bar in Bramley Moor Dock?
You couldn't just wolf it down.
Don't know what happened there.
You know what I actually initially wanted to talk about today was how Onana and Garner are making a great partnership, and looking at the stats, they complement each other so well as a defensive unit by Onana covering the air and recoveries, and Garner being and intercepting both tackling, and how I don't want to see this partnership breaking up. But that's not even the front story for Everton. It hasn't been for 18 months.
Yeah.
No, and probably won't be for a while, because finances are going to dominate the headlines for Everton for a while, they have for a while.
It's not going to change, is it? It doesn't seem to be anyway. Well, depressing.
Yeah. Sorry if we've upset you, Pat. It's gone a bit depressing, this conversation.
I get to actually talk about it, because I can talk with everyone around here about how angry I am at the Bears and not starting to play well early enough, but that doesn't mean anything to you guys. But here it's like, this is the place where I get to talk about it. So I thank you both for that. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Baz.
Cheers, Pat. Great chat, mate. Stay happy.
Good luck to the Bears as well.
Yeah, and we'll see you. We'll speak soon, mate.
Have a good one.
And you. Cheers. The Blues says it's not a game for everyone anymore. The professional game revolves around money, unfortunately. The Blues also says MMA is superior to football now, Jack.
Yeah, football's like me sport. Because football's the only sport where I back someone. People watch the F1 and they back a team, or people watch the box and they have a favourite fighter. I just don't get that feeling of a sport. Football's the only sport where I can be like tribal, which is why I think that's what keeps me in.
Okay.
I couldn't watch football and not have a team and just observe football. I think I love Everton. I don't love football. Football's horrible.
Fair enough. Lollipop says it's more and more tilted. The standard that is mediocrity, and the cost for fans is ridiculous, which is right. I'm going to say then Hannibal is edging towards Sevilla. Apparently they think they're going to win the race for him, so...
Well, we need to find a quality alternative then, because if we've gone in for him, it shows that we need someone who plays that role, so let's try and find the best alternative now. Right,
the last call of the night, it's Degsy. We haven't spoke to him for a while. I'll see if he's got his frog chorus with him. Degsy, hello, how are you? What do you want to say, mate?
Hiya, guys.
Hiya, Degs.
I'm a clear enough tonight.
Yeah, you're very good. The frogs haven't started yet, so that's good. That's good.
We'll wait for that to happen.
Yeah.
Now, I've been sat here and I'm really interested in what you're talking about, and I was wondering what I should talk about.
Okay.
And maybe to give people an idea of what hooked me on football. Let's get away from the stats, the money problems.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the love.
Yeah.
And how you found your love for your football club.
Yeah.
I remember your pocket money. In June, July, you went out, you bought your Shoot magazine or whatever football magazine you got, and you got 4 ladders of football. Now, ladders were just little cardboard things with little T cards that you moved up and down every week, depending on results.
Yeah.
And you sat there waiting for your fixtures to come out.
Yeah.
And everything, as a little kid, you thought, well, we didn't do too bad last year. Maybe if we can buy someone, there was no transfer windows. If your club was in trouble, somebody maybe went out and bought someone, or you sold someone. And I remember the day we sold Alan Ball, and it broke my heart.
Yeah.
But that's the love of football.
Yeah. That's why we got in it, didn't we? That's why we
got in it. We need to find a way of getting that back.
Yeah.
Somehow, We need to find a way. Yeah, I know everybody's interested in the money side and what we can and what we can't do. But football brings you passion. And everybody needs passion.
Yeah.
And if we can find a way of bringing that back, I do believe that Everton are a football club that can do that. Because, let's face it, how many clubs play as poor as we have, yet we've got supporters scrambling for tickets week in, week out. It's amazing. I talk to people, you know, and they're flabbergasted that Everton can't get enough tickets. And yet we've been rubbish for nearly 10 years. You know, because we've got passion about our football club. And I do believe that the other lot across the road, their fan base, not the people that get to go to the match, unfortunately, they're passionate about their football club. You know, but we need to find a way of getting our youngsters interested in the real side of football.
Yeah.
Why? You know, I've sat down and made my grandson a set of these ladders and coloured the cards in and team colours and all this sort of stuff.
Brilliant.
And he thinks it's fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, after each weekend, he sorts his cards out and he can look at his league tables. Do you know what I mean? And he cuts things out of the paper and he puts them on the wall.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
How old's your grandson?
Do you know what I mean?
How old is he?
He's 9.
Oh, great. So he's at that age where he's footy obsessed.
He
I hope he's supervised when he's cutting things out the paper, though, Dex, you know, with scissors and all that. But, you know.
Well, we trust him. He's
fair
all right. He's doing a grand job, you know.
Yeah.
No, I'm trying to teach him.
Yeah.
He says, but Pop, because they call me Pop. They say, Pop, when are we going to complete our circle?
Right.
And he's listened to me talking about, there's so many clubs. There's about maybe 6 to 8 clubs that win things.
Yeah.
And we're one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep saying, our circle's coming.
You need to convince me, Dex, please.
Yeah, no, I do believe that, you know, it's just that the circle takes longer these days.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Money's changed that, mate, hasn't it? And it's always been money, but it's even more money now, isn't it?
But we had owners that loved the clubs, didn't we?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And that's what it was all about. You had your club belonged to your community.
Yeah.
I still think Everton does belong to the community by the way that we react to things. We still own our club, I think, as supporters. There's not many clubs do, but I think we do.
Yeah.
And especially in the higher echelon of the football. Do you know what I mean? And I don't give a running doop about money. I want to turn up to the match.
Yeah.
Sit next to me mates.
Yeah.
If I could stand up, I would. Sit next to me mates. Have a laugh and a joke.
Yeah.
A nice cuppa. And watch your heroes running around.
No, Dexy, you know what? You're absolutely spot on. We get lost, I think, sometimes in all of the nonsense. We get dragged along by rumours. We get dragged along by people arguing and arguments and points of view. And nowadays, you can't have a different point of view without Ned clipping it and calling it a heated debate. I wasn't
looking forward to VAR. I thought the arguments would go, but it's caused more.
No, it has, but I just want to drag it back to what you started with, because you're absolutely correct. The whole point of football is remembering why you've fallen in love with this sport in the first place. It's not, you know, you walk up them steps. For us, it's Goodison Park. For other people, it'll be everywhere else, their ground. And you go into that stadium and you want to get excited and you want to see a game of football and you want to see players on the pitch doing things you can't, that the quality level's gone down that much that we don't see them. You know, we could all do what's happening on the pitch now. Maybe not to that level, but you know what I mean. But you want to remember all that. You're talking about ladders there. I remember the Shoot magazine used to do a similar thing. In about August, so it was coming out and you used to get them. In fact, we got some for Zach a few years ago, magnetic ones now, but and you can still do it, and he doesn't do it all the time because he's got a phone. He just goes, oh yeah, they're top, well, you know what I mean. But it is great to have them things physically in your hands, and you used to have to pick them up and slide them up and down, and that's what you would do. It was the same with like World Cup charts at the Dex, remember? You'd get the World Cup pull out and you'd stick it on, write all the games on and go through it. You don't need it now because you've got an app to do it, but they're the great things which made you dream about going the match. I mean, Dexy played for Schalke, by the way.
Did he?
Yeah.
Fair play.
So there you go, Jack. I'm just giving Jack a little bit of your background. He played for Schalke.
Real baller.
In Germany, in Bundesliga. But this is what it was about. And it is that falling in love. And we slowly move away from being that kid. Dexy still sounds like he is that kid, by the way. Yeah. Goes with a big scarf around him and all that, which is brilliant. That is what football is about. Let's cut all the shite away. Let's cut the money, the bleeding PSR nonsense, VAR nonsense, Craig Pawson nonsense. When you strip it all back down, it's being a kid again. That's why every time you go to Goodison, you'll get excited. You sit in your seat and you're waiting for those moments, Jack.
Yeah,
isn't it?
But I think it's great as well what you're doing for your grandson, Dexy, because, you know, you're giving him that simplified enjoyment of football that we all want. And, you know, as he gets older, maybe that'll go away because he'll be exposed to more of, you know, the ongoings in football. But, you know, for as long as you can, preserve that for him because you're doing a really good thing for him.
But that's the best thing, isn't it? That's when he will fall in love. That's how he is falling in love.
Ultimately, we all enjoy football because of hope.
Yeah.
Because of the hope that we might win.
Hope.
And that doesn't have to be winning a trophy. You can just be winning a game. It's like, it'd be boss if we win today. Like, that's why we go with game. That's what we love about the game. And then the enjoyment, the happiness of if you do win, or, you know, you score and you're grabbing your mates and you're all going wild and you feel on top of the world because of something someone else has done. But that's why football is amazing, because we all feel involved. Thousands of us feel involved in something 22 people are doing. Yeah. And we get the hope and the despair and, you know, the happiness and the sadness. And it's just football. About getting back to that as much as we can, but it just feels like the horse has bolted to a degree. It
has bolted, but Dexy's right. You do it's gone, but you do have to
No, I'm still
go.
Here. Oh, we're gone.
No, I meant sorry.
Sorry.
What I mean is you've brought us back to what it really is all about. I think of Bullens. I think of going in a Bullens and I can smell cigars again. When I was a kid, people would be smoking in a wooden stand, by the way. But that Zoom, you know, Fat Larry's band takes me back to sitting in the lower Bullens watching Adrian Heath, Warm, Neville Southall up and things like that. And I'm a kid again. I'm transported to that. And that is, you know.
What happened to the RAF dog display team at half time?
Yeah, all of that stuff.
You know,
putting the scores on the alphabet, there's by below the Bullens, remember? The half-time scores.
Everybody would share a pen to write down your half-time scores.
I wouldn't go. I mean, I was a kid when that was happening, Dex. You know what I mean? But fair play, I believe you. But it was that, Dexy. It was that.
Save it up to get your 40p and queue up 2 hours before they go into Gladys Street.
No, it wasn't 40. It was like £1.40 or something when I went. But it was great.
40p.
But they're the ones, though, aren't they?
For the paddock.
They're the things, though. I mean, my lad's like he's 13 next week, but he'll have his own things. But he hasn't had anything great to really cherish. But he loves it. He loves going. But it takes me back. You know what, Degs? You have literally saved this show. You've made me feel all warm about Everton again. If John Blaine was here now, I'd shake him by the hand, despite me getting him in a headlock John. Before. You were wrong, John, but let's be right together and accept that it was a penalty.
Yeah. No, Degsy, you've made me feel nostalgic for a period I didn't even live through. So you're a very good storyteller. I'll give you that.
He's the man.
Why not? If I appeal to everybody that's watching the show, that the Villa game, you walk up those steps, you look at the grass,
Yeah.
you look at the stands, and gasp, because that's what football does to you.
It do,
You're
right.
Take it in. Take it in for one match. Take the game in as the game. Forget everything else.
Yeah.
Watch your 11 plus whoever comes on.
11 with Sean Dyche.
Yeah, 11 with Sean Dyche.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
he's
no,
the
you're
right
right.
man at the right place there. But they're your heroes. They're there because I don't care what anybody says. And you, like you said, I've played. You pull that shirt on. And it means something. Sorry, I'm getting emotional.
I know I can tell in your voice you're getting emotional, but that's what it is. But we've all, well, I don't know, how can I ever say we've all lost that, because I can't. I don't know what people feel, but
I don't think we have as Evertonians.
But I think that there is a bit of that though, Dex. There is a bit of that where we have forgot what it's about when you actually
what it's about.
Yeah,
yes.
that's what I'm saying. I do it, mate. I do it. I get in and I sit down and whatever happens, and I go, I can't wait to go home. But the reality is, when you are there, and that is what going on the match was all about as a kid. Great times, walking up them steps. Couldn't wait to get in. Couldn't wait to run up the steps. Couldn't wait to see the pitch. Whatever.
Yeah. You know, when I talked about once when at home, football was grey to me on your telly.
Yeah.
And match of the day was a match of the day.
Yeah.
And then I went on that Shadowbang as a surprise to the 66 Cup final. And I saw colour.
Yeah.
And I saw Wembley and the grass.
Yeah.
And that was it. I just, I lost my heart to football.
Yeah. I mean, Wembley, I remember, the first time I went to Wembley.
The old Wembley.
The old Wembley, yeah. Was incredible, and it was like awe. When you walked up, the awe of it, you were just like, oh my God, this is amazing. So.
And it's still today, you talk to a footballer, doesn't matter where they're from in the world, everybody wants to play at Wembley.
Oh,
Stadium.
yeah, still there, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks, guys.
You've saved the show, Dex.
Yeah,
you've saved the show. Well done. You've finished us on an upbeat note, which is what we needed. Which is what I needed.
I'll be there on Sunday with my scarf on, holding my head down because I can't lift it up. And but it is being retired for the new stadium.
Is it? Okay. Getting a new scarf of hope.
Well, it can go to the. Maybe it's going to my grandson, but he said he wanted to go in the museum. So
fair play.
Maybe.
Fair play. We'll see what happens, eh?
Yeah. Anyway, guys, thanks for
Dexy, outstanding. Keep smiling, mate.
And I came up with something because I was running out of things.
Well, what you come up with was perfect. It was a perfect way to finish.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All at the next evening.
Yeah, definitely, Dex. I'll see you at the next premiere night and we'll have a good chat. Take it easy. All right, look after yourself,
nice one,
mate.
Dex.
Take care, Dex. Ta-ra, pal. Ta-ra.
Up the Toffees.
Up the Toffies. Up the dupe. See you later. Ta-ra, mate.
What a fella.
Classic, Dex. And no frogs, which was good. He was getting a bit emotional. There's no frogs. It was just a thing. There you go. Sean Collins says, I love the FA Cup 1995 song altogether now. Gives me goosebumps. And a few people saying, take care, Degsy. Incredible. A lot of people enjoying Degsy's trip down memory lane there and reminding us all to think about why we got involved in football in the first place. Loved it. One of them, Bobby Blue Nose, says quite simply, Degsy's got me, with her tears in the eyes. But that's what it's all about, isn't it? That's what it was, the magic of football. And of course you get more cynical as you get older and you watch it and you kind of go, yeah. And Degsy's talking about heroes and I'm looking at the players now and going, they're not my heroes, but the players, as a kid, they are your heroes, they're your idols, and it's incredible. But let's hope we have good, real, genuine good times on the way, Jack. And but that was a great call to finish.
Yeah, brilliant from Degsy. You know, like I said, he had me feeling back and feeling nostalgic for something I didn't even live through, with the way he described it.
You never know.
Like,
you might have lived there, who knows? You might have been there at
not
the
a
time.
time traveller, Baz.
Yeah.
But
Might
no,
have been reincarnated as Jack.
He did really take me back through, you know, what football was like. And, you know, even though I obviously didn't have the same experience as him as a kid, the feelings are the same. You're a kid and you're loving it and you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
So, just brilliant from Degsy.
Brilliant. Right, we are leaving it there. Thank you very much. For everybody who's joined us, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't. Take it easy. We'll be back live at lunchtime tomorrow, 1 o'clock tomorrow, to update you on everything that's going on in the world of Everton. Thanks for joining. See you later. Bye.